Why do I live in this form, this fate? Welcome back, everyone, to Mind Podcast. When we realize that we have truly awakened with a radiant mind and a heart full of peace, we begin to understand our true nature. It's like asking how the sun shines. It simply shines because its nature is light. There is no need to light a lamp at dawn. Similarly, our essence is peace and happiness. There's no need to search elsewhere, no matter how complex life becomes, as our true being always exists in a state of peace. We only need to look in the right place. The sun never stops shining, but sometimes its light is hidden by dark clouds. Our souls are the same, always radiating peace and joy, though sometimes obscured by worries and feelings of lack. None of us is fully awake, and that's why, when one who has awakened from the narrow structures of small consciousness in a meditation center, recognize that true awakening is not easy. We sit with tense minds, using meditation techniques to create a space untouched by anything. Yet the character struggling to meditate realizes that these techniques alone don't bring complete awakening. All these methods begin to feel futile, leaving us feeling like we're fighting a losing battle. In the play of my life, the role I perform must face either acceptance or its end. When there's no one left performing, no one left to meditate, only the truth of my essence remains. Or rather, only I remain. Waking up from narrow personal consciousness doesn't mean eliminating or fighting the ego. Instead, it simply means allowing it to step aside a bit, to become part of the community, part of our shared consciousness. This realization brings a sense of freedom and a deeper understanding that we are not viewing the world through a narrow lens. We open our hearts and minds, and this broadens our perception, creating a profound and close connection with others. Enlightenment doesn't mean becoming awakened in some grand way. It's simply the release of the tight grip on I and the embrace of the limitless unity that has always been there. No one becomes awakened or enlightened. Awakening is not an achievement or a destination. It is the natural state of wisdom and peace within us. Our true nature is inherently blissful, and we have always been enlightened. Awakening is simply the realization of who we truly are, an awareness of our essence. Consciousness is just one of many words used to describe the experience of life, love, God, or light. Awakening is the recognition that I am not this body, but rather I am something that never dies and was never born. This understanding can be elusive because we often think of awakening as something mystical or extraordinary, imagining it to be like the experiences of Jesus, Buddha, or other enlightened masters. But for me, that was not the case. Despite moments of deep peace, joy, and fulfillment, I still struggled, and over time I realized the simplicity of our true nature, awareness. For those listening, the awareness that hears this voice is our essence, and it has no location, gender, color, or body. It is completely boundless. Awakening to our true nature. Awakening is simply becoming aware of our true nature, the realization that I am the one experiencing this moment right here, right now. This recognition is profoundly ordinary, so simple that we often overlook it. Discovering our true nature doesn't lead to happiness, it is happiness. The essence of existence itself is bliss. Who is aware in this moment? The mind often searches for something, complicating everything. Yet you are already what your mind seeks. The mind will always miss this truth, so don't look to it for answers. Don't push your thoughts away or fixate on them. Simply release any attachment to thoughts, ideas, and beliefs, and observe yourself as you are. Don't try to deny the mind or attain any specific state. Every action and movement of the mind only deepens its control. Let the mind be as it is. Sometimes people awaken in everyday life. They don't necessarily need to practice. Events in life can disrupt habitual patterns, leading to spontaneous awakening. However, when one's life follows a repetitive or mechanical pattern, some form of intervention may be needed. Spiritual practices, sometimes called sadhana, disrupt these patterns and open the mind to awakening. These practices help loosen our rigid structures, making it easier to glimpse our true nature. Awakening may happen by accident, but practices increase the likelihood of such moments. At some point, though, these practices must be released, because if the mind clings to continuous practice, it will take control and lead, keeping us in a cycle of doing rather than being. Thus, while practices are useful steps toward lightening and illuminating our personal structures, we ultimately need to let them go, allowing our essence to shine through naturally. The paradox of practice, awakening beyond the self. Ultimately, when you awaken, you realize that all the practices were carried out by the false self, the character in the virtual reality game. Your true self, the real you, was never involved. The only thing you need to do is to let go of the ego's desires, its attachment to everything. Anything in the realm of change and phenomena is not the true self. The identity you believe yourself to be will never awaken. You awaken from that character, from the illusion that you are this conditioned persona. Many people enter retreats thinking that this small I will awaken and something grand will happen. But the small self will never do that. It must let go and fail. Only in that failure do we understand who we truly are, always conscious, always in the present. The direct path to awakening. I began my spiritual journey with the traditional advice of religious practices like meditation and mantra recitation, which I diligently practiced for 20 years. Mantra meditation involves focusing on a sound until it gradually fades away. However, when I encountered the direct path, my spiritual progress truly peaked. On the direct path, we don't focus on any object, whether a mantra, a sound, or even the breath. Instead, we allow our attention to dive inward to return to its source. An analogy of the screen and the character. Imagine watching your life on a TV screen. You identify with the character on the screen day after day, year after year, engaged in the character's story. Then, suddenly, you wake up from this story and notice the screen on which the character appears, realizing that you are not the character. You observe objects that appear and disappear on the screen, characters that come and go, yet the screen itself remains unchanged. The character might get wet, but the screen doesn't. The character might get distressed, but the screen is unaffected. Without the screen, characters wouldn't exist, but the screen itself often goes unnoticed. Characters live out their lives by the script, but mindfulness is like a backdrop, a space in which every thought, movement, and state of consciousness appears and fades away. The mind changes its states throughout the human experience, yet something within you remains ever present, aware of these changing states. This is consciousness, or our true nature. As long as you're attached to the character on the screen, believing yourself to be the character, there will be suffering. Maya, the illusion of self, keeps you bound. Letting go of the illusion, you cannot fix the character in this dream. Rather, freeing yourself means breaking the identification with the character. In the play of life, if you act from the character's point of view, you remain trapped in illusion. To awaken, stop identifying with what appears on the screen, understand its impermanence, and cease reacting to thoughts as though the story on screen is the ultimate reality. If you shift your awareness from the screen to your true self, something incredible occurs. You recognize the impermanence of all appearances, and in that recognition, you touch the timeless, unchanging essence of consciousness itself. This shift is the awakening from the dream of separation into the wholeness of your true nature. Awareness awakens itself. Awakening isn't something that happens. Rather, it's the realization of the screen that has always been there. Do not place your trust in the next thought. Instead, direct your awareness toward awareness itself. I have always been myself. This sense of self has been present throughout my life, through every moment, from yesterday, last year, 10 years ago, and even when I was 2. Recognizing the essential I is the great secret of life, a direct path to peace and happiness. It's not something created by anyone. It's a recognition of what has always been known, but often forgotten or denied. This awareness opens up a new way of being, a new stage of development. Many think that self-understanding is an extremely difficult or impossible goal. My goal, as a teacher, is to make this realization practical and accessible. If we believe we are a temporary separate self, we inevitably seek peace and happiness outside of ourselves. However, true happiness is not found in the objective world, it's within us. The practice of directing awareness inward. Thus, spiritual practice involves relaxing one's attention inward into its source. Pure awareness is not focused on any object, relationship, or external action. So if we could call it a spiritual practice, it would be the relaxation of attention, letting it rest in the heart of awareness, in the peace of being as it is. This is where true love arises, unconditional, boundless love for everyone and everything. even for things we don't agree with. When someone realizes the nature of their being, they recognize that their essence is the source of the peace and happiness they strive for. The world is no longer a place where they seek satisfaction. This does not mean such a person has no desires, but their desires no longer exist to fill a void. Instead, they emerge from a place of contentment, changing how they relate to others. We no longer seek others to fulfill our needs, but rather to share the happiness we already have. This releases others from the heavy burden of bringing us happiness. We experience a life free from the constant hunger and dissatisfaction that burdens the separate self. Every moment, every action, and every outcome advances our soul's evolution, which is why we come into this material world. Living in the flow of inner energy, remain open, feel the inner energy flowing freely. Don't force anything to happen. Who is it that is aware of this inner energy, this aliveness within? Notice the mind's tendency to control and manipulate. Engage in this process without relying on memory or language. Instead, stay attuned to the vitality and simplicity of awareness, allowing your true nature to unfold naturally and experience the limitless peace and joy it has always been. Who are you beyond the mind and emotions? Who are you? Who recognizes this and changes the world? Many who hear these ideas for the first time may have never encountered the concept of self-realization. In my view, there are two types of people: those on a spiritual path, striving to be authentic, to become themselves, seeking and reaching for understanding, and others simply living their lives without ever questioning, who am I? Many believe that knowing oneself means knowing the body or understanding their identity, but truly knowing oneself means recognizing what you actually are. The ancient phrase, "Know thyself," engraved at the entrance of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi, was an invitation to humanity at the dawn of Western civilization. This highlights self-knowledge as the foundation of all civilization. Why? Because we are the center of every experience. Everything we think and feel arises within us in service to ourselves. We are the experiencer of all, the one at the heart of every action and relationship. What could be more essential than understanding the nature of this self? If we don't first know the essence of the knower, can we truly understand the nature of anything else? Awakening. From nightmare to dream. Awakening is the end of the nightmare and the entry into a profound dream. I mean that we can leave behind the nightmares we've been told about life, God, and ourselves, and step into our greatest dream. I often ask, what would your life look like if you entered the most extraordinary vision you have ever had of God, of life, and of yourself? Realizing our true nature doesn't just end our pursuit of happiness in the world, it enables us to live with an understanding that, at the deepest level, everything and everyone are one. This understanding brings compassion, justice, kindness, tolerance, and insight to society. If we abandon ego-driven approaches, our sciences, religions, politics, and economies will begin to reflect a timeless wisdom. Whether it's indigenous traditions recognizing the Great Spirit in all things, the Egyptian wisdom depicting humanity's journey from earthly attachments toward a singular divine source, or the teachings of mystics from Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, or Buddhism, those who have realized their true nature speak of conscious beings, each using the language of their culture and time to express an eternal truth. A new paradigm in science. Science is now beginning to see not merely a world of particles and unconscious fields, but a universe of conscious agents. As Nikola Tesla said, the day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. That day has arrived. Each advancement in scientific precision has revealed technology that seems like magic compared to what came before. For me, a theory of conscious agents beyond space and time will provide us with truly remarkable technologies, leading to profound shifts in our understanding of reality and our own existence. I see the world as a step toward a greater understanding of our divine nature. I view the world around me as a step toward a deeper, calmer expression of what it means to be human and to be an aspect of the divine. I don't think we have infinite time. I feel that time is running out. It's now or never. I sense we are on the right path, but there's a sense of urgency. With the opportunities available today to spread powerful and essential ideas in ways that were unavailable before, we might reach a critical mass before time runs out. But we'd be mistaken to think we have unlimited time on this planet. When each person decides to shed their conditioned self, they stop acting solely as an egoic entity, and this leads to transformation on Earth, renewing life on this planet. I believe we need to make some fundamental changes swiftly, drastically, and decisively if we want to see the future we all dream of. Can this understanding become widespread? Why not? The issues we face today aren't simply political, economic, or social. They are spiritual. They concern our commitment to higher spiritual truths. This isn't just a New Age philosophy. These ideas have existed for millennia, embodied in countless traditions and cultures, and like consciousness itself, they have always been hidden from superficial eyes. In Christianity, the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas speaks directly about our true nature. When Jesus' disciples asked him when the kingdom would come, he responded, "If you wait for it, it will not come. It will not come by saying it is here or it is there. The kingdom is not here or there." True understanding is not bound to time or space. If you are waiting for an event, a healing, an ascension, or an external energy to come, your conditioned mind is still in control, mediating your experience of the present moment. The union of samsara and nirvana. In Buddhism, it is said that samsara, the world of suffering, and nirvana, the world of liberation, are not two separate realms. When we awaken, we recognize the inherent perfection of the world as it is. Could it be that peace, freedom, and fulfillment are already here in this very moment, without the mind's interference? Perhaps all that's needed is to accept this moment as it is, without the need to change or add anything. This acceptance is not passive. It's a profound recognition that what we seek is not somewhere else or some other time. It's here and now, hidden only by our belief that we need to look for it elsewhere.